Kathy and I met my first year in the Marine Corps, and we got married a year later.
We decided we were going to have kids pretty quick, so we had 3 children back to back.
I did a lot of deployments overseas. I'd be gone for a couple of months, and then I'd be home for a couple of months, and I'd be gone again.
I felt really alone, just really depressed, and I thought all I was mom. 9/11 happened. He came home and said that he wanted to be able to help fight this war on terror.
I believed in my job in Afghanistan, and I believed it was the most important thing in the world, and I was privileged to get to do it.
I knew how to take care of my home. I knew how to take care of my family. But one thing I didn't know how to do was really support my husband with the struggles he was dealing with.
Coming home from Afghanistan was the hard part because I just felt like things made sense there. And when I came home, I'm going into my wife's world where I'm impeding on her system of being a mom. I felt like I was in the way.
He just kept himself distant. I just really never could feel a connection. And so just like in every marriage that, you start becoming distant from each other and you're feeling unsatisfied. I didn't have joy with my marriage.
I was diagnosed with PTSD. I felt the physical symptoms of my face going numb, arms going numb, and I just felt in this state of just complete desperation.
We don't really understand the struggles of post-traumatic stress, and so I didn't know how to recognize that in him. The first month or 2, I was able to comfort him through it, but it wasn't long before the anger would start.
I didn't really know what to do, but I had done martial arts my whole life. I'd wrestled and done jiu-jitsu, and I'd already fought as a professional fighter. So my counselor and my wife recommended that I go try to do that. I felt like I had found the cure because while I was wrestling on those mats, I couldn't think about the things that were giving me anxiety. I would spend like 10, 12 hours a day wrestling on the mats and training, and then Kathy encouraged me to open a school. So I started fighting professionally again and teaching.
He put everything he had into that, like everything else, but I watched him do all these things. And never did he put that effort into our marriage. And I craved that. I longed for that. And now here we are, 10 years into our marriage, and it's still not happening. And once his fame came with having that gym and having the professional fights, women came into his life.
I surrounded myself with a bunch of people that just told me everything I wanted to hear, and no one that was telling me the things I needed to hear. My anger was out of control. My home was like, it's not a home. It was not a happy place to be. My children were scared of me. My wife was scared of me.
And I pretty much came to a point where I said, choose our family or enough is enough. He chose the direction he was going, and so we separated and we sold our home, and my children experienced the pain that came with a broken home.
It was probably the hardest thing I ever did was sitting my kids down and trying to explain to them how this was going to be better, and it wasn't. And I became very depressed and suicidal and really struggled with taking my own life.
I was so broken, I was so hurt that I didn't know what to do. I had a relationship with the Lord. I loved the Lord. I knew the Lord. But I never truly got on my knees to surrender to the Lord. My kids would see me just lay in the bed, crying all the time. I couldn't function. And so I opened the book called Power of a Praying Wife by Stormy R. Martin. And I began praying for my husband. And the Lord began to show me my faults in the marriage. Then that turned into, God, allow me to see Chad the way you see Chad, and help me to love him the way you love him. And the most important thing was help me to forgive him the way you forgave him, because I can't live a life like this for the rest of my life.
And then one day when the divorce papers were all filed and signed and ready to execute, Kathy came to me.
I say to him, everything that you do, you accomplish, you achieve, you rise above and beyond. But when it comes to our family, you quit.
It just really convicted me. I mean, she was just absolutely right. And I made a decision right at that moment that that I had caused the damage, I was gonna fix it. And I began to renew my relationship with God on a level that I had never experienced before. That's when the real restoration came.
It was almost harder taking my husband back and working through restoration than it was actually going through it and being hurt. But I was to a place that I was able to bring it to the cross every morning, and I was ready to move forward.
I would never have dreamed that I'd be in a marriage that I am now.
Our marriage at this point is just outstanding. I have a marriage that I had always wished for.
Now, after starting our foundation, which is Mighty Oaks Warrior Programs, we've had 838 graduates come through our program.
Our goal is to not just work with the PTSD victim and move on. We actually want to get in, work with the families, and restore the whole family.
It's never too late. God takes old things and makes them new, and not only makes them new, but makes them even better than you could ever imagine.